Hey folks, it's May 8th, and I learned last night that my neighbor next door passed away. Her name is Terry Joyner. I think she has 11 kids. I'm friends with her son Camille, and her youngest son Chris is awesome. He just got a job at the Wendy's at Norwalk at exit 2 off the extension, exit 15. And he's a hard-working kid. He's largely misunderstood, but there's an article I'd like you to read. It's called Mission Critical. I'm going to put it on my screen. Let me switch to it. Here it is. The lady in the picture is Katie Dykes, who's running the DEEP for the state of Connecticut. She's saying that we're making our planet truly unlivable. If you read the article, which you have to read, it targets areas that Connecticut is claiming it's working for. Meanwhile, Connecticut has gutted the DEEP. There are about 4 people left. They cut the budgets every year. And the commissioner, she's a new commissioner, you can read what she says, and you should. Her job is daunting. Yes, I agree. But here, Commissioner Dykes has really a difficult job with inadequate resources and doing the best anyone can do under those circumstances. Really. Well, I'm going to tell you my side of the story, which the media does not print, including, The Hour, the Stanford Advocate. No one. Okay? No one. If you look at the article, which is not in the internet yet, I Googled it. I can show you how I looked for it. Here's the commissioner. The DEEP Commissioner, Katie Dykes, on the covered bridge at Stratton Brook State Park in Simsbury. Okay. And take a look. On the energy front, Dykes and the DEEP have drawn fire for not opposing new fossil fuel facilities like the 650 megawatt natural gas plant in Killingly. Well, folks, I've been complaining to the DEEP since 2008. And the reason why I mentioned my neighbor Terry Joyner, I have pictures of her in the hospital, but she had thyroid cancer. She passed away, I learned yesterday. But on Quintard, we are 3 blocks from stone crushing. I have 1,000 pictures of stone crushing. We met with Snell. I was his last appointment. We talked to him for quite a long time. And what we learned is there are 80 piles of crushed cement in Norwalk alone. And if you look on this computer that's far away, let me bring the camera closer. Okay? Sorry to do this, but I don't have all my computer information on the same computer because of the risks. But take a look at this video I'm about to play. Ready? Play. This is stone crushing. I don't know if you can really see it. Here we go. That's the machine churning the cement. In that cement, I don't know if you can see that, but I have different information, lots of files. What do you need to know? When they crushed cement at Washington Village, which is where that occurred, they pumped the water into the sewer main that contained PCBs, VOCs, all types of fecal matter, human fecal matter. Okay. There's a fracking tank they should have used on site, but no. I have video of them pumping all these contaminants right into the Norwalk Harbor, okay, right into the oyster bed. So when you page through this article, in Connecticut Magazine, okay, it talks about what the legislation is doing, what the corporate companies are doing, let me tell you. 6 times I filed a lawsuit. 6 times already. With 285 defendants, naming the health department of Norwalk, who is now recently retired, Tom Kloster, the stone crushing facilities on our streets, Meadow and Woodward. There are 30 contractors crushing cement. Those piles have never been covered. The state law is that since they have silica, chromium, heavy metals, lead, silica causes iron lung. So these 30 facilities, as bad as Norwalk's problem is, Bridgeport has people dropping dead, 10-year-olds, from asthma. We have in our 6 houses in our street 13 people with asthma in 6 houses. There are birth defects. There is, like Terry, who just passed away, she had a thyroid issue. There are 3 thyroid issues. We're 3 blocks from stone crushing. The fact remains, when you get closer and closer to stone crushing, there's one place, one apartment with 7 people sick. 6 with cancer, and the 7th had a stroke. The mother recently died. One of the daughters recently died. 2 of the daughters are being treated for cancer as we speak. The granddaughter has worse diseases. Okay, if you go to 1 Sheridan, the mother has a brain tumor. The daughter has asthma. No, not asthma. She has a thyroid issue, the daughter. The 2 sons have asthma. That's everyone in the house sick from stone crushing. They're 1 block from stone crushing. Next to stone crushing, chronic nosebleeds, emphysema. People died from smoking, but the complications, they were on oxygen. Mary was on oxygen. Lucy died recently. Okay? So when I'm telling you people have died, we filed a lawsuit on behalf of 285 people. We have another death of another plaintiff while the court refuses to process the fee waivers. So Judge Gennaro is sitting there refusing 6 times to process a lawsuit dealing with what this article is talking about. Okay? You can go all over my district. There's a 1/4 mile pile of crushed cement, okay, on the other side of town. Okay? It's been there for 50 years. Knocked on doors in that neighborhood. Every kid has asthma. Every single one. One's a senior in Fairfield University. I spoke to, he knocked on the door and I said, does anyone here have a breathing condition during a respiratory pandemic? He says, yeah, I have asthma. I'm a senior at Fairfield University. I said, well, did you know that it's caused by the stone crushing facility at the end of your street on Boughton Street? He said, no, I was not aware of that. He says, everyone in my neighborhood is sick. I said, well, that's because you're living next to a known health risk that the city and the state refuses to comply. They refuse to enforce compliance of zoning restrictions. Okay? Today in Norwalk is a zoning, at 1:30 in Norwalk is a zoning rally. Okay? Go to the rally. Go to the rally. We have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the piles of crushed cement uncovered at all times in a flood zone. What does that mean? When it rains, silica washes into the harbor out to the oyster beds that you ingest. So, what's remarkable is this woman here, okay, as nice as I've had discussions with her, she has been guaranteeing us that she will look into the complaints that we have already filed. Okay? They can't find them. What's happening is the court is covering up the state's inability to enforce zoning regulation. In other words, in residential communities, they crush cement. That's a video of a residential community spewing crushed cement into the air, removing asbestos with the people living there who have respiratory ailments, who have already died from it. So here we go. This is a Jim Himes problem. Washington Village is his baby. He raised $30 million for the housing authority to tear down 18 buildings. Okay, they were antiquated, the oldest buildings in Norwalk. However, did they encapsulate the asbestos in plastic? No. Did they fix the natural gas leak? No. They had a natural gas leak for a year, okay? They had fecal matter in the basements for years. They had destruction from Sandy. They had destruction from the interconnected pipes between the buildings. They had rats running along those pipes. When it floods, the rats go up into the building and come out in the apartments of the people living there. So this is the housing authority. This is how this woman operates. She's new. She's replacing the other people who did absolutely nothing. And I have called every single one of them repeatedly. No answer, no response, nothing in writing, and it's criminal negligence. These are basically wrongful death cases, like Terry Joyner, who is mother to 11 people on my street. A matriarch has passed away. A very splendid bus driver, fabulous person. We got along terrifically. I just fixed her ceiling in her kitchen, which was falling. We just redid one of her bathrooms last year. So there's quite a few people that rely on a matriarch who has passed this week due to complications with multiple medical conditions, just like the lady next door who's in her 90s. Okay? Just like the 2-year-old in the next house. Just like the butcher with asthma, 3 doors down. Just like the 2 ladies 2 doors down that have asthma. And the painter next door to me, 2 houses from her, that mother has asthma. The boy, Yanni, has asthma. My son has asthma. My ex-wife had breast cancer and thyroid cancer. Okay? I'm still married in the Catholic Church, but we are divorced in Stamford Superior Court, which means nothing because these judges are complicit in the bribery of our mayor collecting contributions, never enforcing regulation, and it's criminal, folks. The passing of Terry Joyner is a tragedy to 11 people. Okay? She's not only the breadwinner, the mortgage owner, the house owner, but she's got Camille and Erica living in her house with 3 babies. There are problems with babies. There are many problems. There's at least 2 or 3 problems with the babies in this house, okay? They're my friends. They're Democrats. They're black. We're tight. We do everything we can for each other. But because of this lady in the picture, we're relying on her, pointed by Lamont, and it's criminal what Lamont is doing. During a pandemic, leaving crushed piles of cement uncovered in residential communities. Have you got what I'm saying? It's important, and you should listen. Share this video. Share this video. I've got picture after picture of crushed cement piles all over Norwalk. 80. We have the dirt from the mall still. The construction of the mall. 26 remaining piles of dirt. Contaminated. That used to be our dump. They built the mall on our old dump. Veterans Park is a capped Superfund site. Oyster Shell Park is a leaching capped Superfund site. Where? Into the Norwalk River. There are PCBs in the river. The oysters are contaminated north of the walk bridge. We don't know the line of demarcation where the PCBs don't contaminate the oysters. But is there any signage? No. So here we go. The DEEP knows, this lady knows, the oysters in the river of Norwalk have contaminants. People fish there. There's no signage. I have interviews of fishermen. I can play them. They're on my website. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't know. Well, why don't eat the fish here, fellas? Because it'll kill you. Don't eat the oysters here. Don't eat the mussels here. Don't eat the clams here. They will kill you, okay? In the walk bridge, by the walk bridge, okay? That is a capped Superfund site. They put a plastic and rubber cap over it and put feet and feet of topsoil over it. They never cleaned up the properties, and they are leaching from rainwater. So, we have many problems with chromium, arsenic, lead, heavy metals, aluminum. They crush cars at LaJoy. That tank is leaching into the backyards of residents. There is oil and gasoline in their yards. Those kids have chronic nosebleeds from contaminants. And this lady was very nice to call me a week ago and describe to me how she's going to get back to me. Well, guess what? I told her if I don't get something material, I will take her house from her in the lawsuit, which I have already filed 6 times. I just named Judge Gennario as a defendant, okay? He's a Republican. I'm a Republican. I just named a Republican judge, okay, in the Stephen Barrier murder trial because he denied us our civil right to due process. The mayor is instructing the Democratic Party to make the other judges not file the lawsuits that I have filed time and time again. Dismissal after dismissal after dismissal. Money laundering, corruption, bribery, murder for hire even. Okay? So that's 18 minutes. I'm sure no one's going to listen to this, but I'm highlighting an article that is on screen about the DEEP. They're hard targets for zero emissions. And what do? They crush cement in residential communities. They've never enforced the rules, and they're never going to enforce any rules if they take the bribes from the construction companies that are destroying the environment. When they destroy the oyster beds, okay, that's not their property, okay? That's a natural resource of the state. What's causing these problems? I'll tell you. Our senators and our congressmen allow dredging of harbors, and 600 municipalities and private clubs dump that dredging material next to the Norwalk oyster bed that you ingest those oysters. Are you kidding me? That's Himes, Blumenthal, and Murphy. Who said so? Who said that those 3 guys poisoned Connecticut? Well, Chuck Schumer said it. Chuck Schumer said that Connecticut is poisoning New York City with their dredging material because contaminants are in it from the 80 brownfields, and the rainwater pushes it into the harbors, and they collect it, and they put it in the salt marsh. That's what Colin Hostin did. So Colin Hostin a board member in Norwalk, had the harbor view dredged, and they put that dirt in the salt marsh. Excuse me? That is an estuary. We are putting contaminants in the estuary of the lobster beds. Are you joking me? Time and time again, these guys claim to be environmentalists, and they are destroying everything they touch. Have a great day. I appreciate. Go to Flynn2022, USSenate.com. Make a small donation so that we can correct this problem. This article I highlighted is tremendous because it's going to make her accountable. If we make them accountable, they will act. They will start enforcing the law. Let's have them enforce the law. Okay? Enjoy. Signing out.